everyone, it's me, Beard of Cats 88. Thank you for submitting to DreamsFest 22. In this video, we're going to go over the Carnival Game guidelines. That's right, this year at DreamsFest, we are going to have a boardwalk carnival, and it's going to be filled with games made by you, the community, using our booth template right here. We're really excited about this, guys. This year, your games will actually impact the player's experience at DreamsFest, which is something that we felt was lacking last year. And so this year, our players will be receiving festival experience points throughout the entire game. And one of the ways they'll do that is by playing your carnival game. This will allow them to unlock things like new outfits and other perks. So it's going to be a really cool feature, and we're excited to have you take part in the experience. Okay, so we're going to get started pretty soon. If you want, you can just jump in by remixing the template. But we also do have this handy-dandy carnival kit put together by DreamsFest team member Dusty Flapdragon that has a lot of goodies and things to create your game. So let's take a look at that first. Now, in the Carnival Kit collection, the only mandatory piece is the booth, which we just saw. We have a few examples here of what your booth could look like, just to give you some inspiration. And then all of the pieces down here are not mandatory, but just free for you to use to spice up your game and make it whatever you want it to be. The only thing we want to point out is we do encourage you guys to think creatively with these elements, to think outside the box, and to try to put your own unique spin on your game so that it stands out on the boardwalk, and so that we get some really unique experiences. All right, so we've got a lot to cover in this video. Let's jump right in. We're going to remix the template right here and get started. Now, when you open this up, you'll notice there's a lot going on, so allow me to try and simplify this for you. The first thing you want to look at is down here at the bottom. All of your creations will be sent to me, Beard of Cats 88. You will actually be creating two pieces for your carnival game. So first, you're going to create the exterior of your booth. This is an element, and it should be a low thermo version of your game that will actually sit on the DreamsFest boardwalk. We ask that it be low thermo because we want to try and fit all of the games on one big open boardwalk with no divisions between scenes. So your limits are 5% gameplay, 1% for graphics, and 4% audio. If you take a look at your thermometer, you'll notice those numbers are already there, 5, 1, and 4. So we're essentially asking you to decorate this outside and make it look pretty without adding to your thermometers at all. We know it's a tough ask, but we've tested it out, and we think you guys will do great stuff with it. So definitely stick within those limits. Besides your exterior element, you're also going to be creating a scene, and that will be the interior of your booth with all of your gameplay. You're going to use this template to make both of those, and I'm going to explain how you're going to do that. And to switch between the two modes, I have this switch here, which not only highlights the instructions for the current mode, so right now I'm in the booth exterior, but it also turns on and off the logic for those two modes. So now we're in the interior with our interior logic, and now we're back in the exterior with our exterior logic. If at any point you get annoyed with these instructions, you can just delete them right here in one big swoop. Well, let's bring them back. And we're going to start off talking about the exterior element. So this is where you want to start. You want to start by creating your exterior element. You should do it in this order because it'll create less work for you. For your exterior element, you'll be decorating this booth using either paint or spray paint. We do ask that if you use paint, not to use physical paint because that can be a thermo killer. We also ask that all of your paint stays surface snapped to your booth so it's not poking off into other people's booths or other assets in the game. Okay, please do not alter the shape of the booth. We want to keep these consistent. However, you can play around with the signs. So if you want, we have 3 basic signs here. You can pick your favorite and delete the other 2. If you want, you can combine the signs and make something new out of them. Or if you prefer, you can even alter the shape of the sign. You can actually add into the sculpt. We are fine with that. The only thing that we ask is that you go here to the tools menu and click the unhide tool and make sure that your sign is within that gadget. So this cube here will have to go because it's outside. Okay. Next are gadgets. Yes, you are allowed to use gadgets in the design of your booth. However, we do ask that the gadgets that you use don't affect other booths or anything else in the scene. So that means you cannot use a sun and sky gadget, you cannot use gradient effects or anything of that nature, but you can use little things like perhaps a signal generator to make some blinking lights on your sign. That's fine. And again, we want to make sure that any gadgets we use fall within our thermal limits, which I mentioned earlier. One more piece here to your interior scene is this custom interior, as we're calling it. So one way that you'll keep your booth thermo low is you're not going to be filling it with all of your gameplay at this stage. Instead, we're going to use a handy little trick, which are some text boxes to block out this view, and so the player won't get to see what's inside yet. Okay, if you would like to alter these, you can choose any emoji you wish or any icon. What you're going to do is go into the booth exterior chip, and within the exterior chip is a purple chip called custom interior. You're going to open that, and that is where these text displayers live. Like I said, you can change these if you want. You can clone them and add more. Again, just make sure that you're within these thermal limits. All right, once you've checked off all of those things, you've made your pretty booth and you're ready to start creating your game, you're going to stop and save it. You will save it as a public remixable element, and we ask that you make it unlisted so that people can't really discover your booth until they come to DreamsFest. All right, so you will do all of that. Now, I'm not going to demonstrate all of this in the video because I think that's pretty straightforward. We will be creating a game in a second, but before we do that, I just want to show you guys what the player will experience when they walk up to your booth at DreamsFest. So we're just going to stamp in a random puppet here. Okay. And when we approach the booth, turns on this camera, and we are given two options to either play the game. If the player presses square, they will then exit through a doorway into your game scene that we're about to create, or they can press back to return to the boardwalk. All right, so that is the exterior of the game. That is pretty simple, pretty basic. Now to talk about the interior and how you're going to create your game so that your score will award the player festival experience points. Okay, I'm going to need your imagination here, guys, to keep this tutorial short. Imagine that I've saved this as an element. Imagine that I exited from here. I went back into my dream shaping menu. I found the element I just created, and I hit remix one more time, and I'm going to actually now create a scene rather than an element where I will create the interior of my game. So we are now in the interior scene mode, and there's a few things I got to tell you here. Also, let's just delete now the logic that we're completed with. So we can delete those. We can delete this. And now we're just talking about the interior scene. Okay, so first of all, you should see what the player will see when they're in this mode. Oh, and don't be like me. You need to make sure you click this switch and make sure the instructions are green. That means you're in the correct mode. And now when I view it, this is the view that the player will see when they're playing your game. Okay, we do ask that you don't change the camera angle at all. We want this to be consistent across all the games, and it'll prevent players from getting to see what's beyond so that you don't have to worry about trying to match our scenery. Okay, now there are 3 or 4 things that you need to know when creating your game, and all of them relate to the logic in this booth interior chip. So number 1, you will use our variable to keep track of the player's score. So we ask that you don't put any different variables in here, no score gadgets. Unfortunately, you cannot have a scoreboard either for your game. Any modifiers that you use, any variable modifiers you use, should affect this score gadget. So just make sure that you're aware of that. Another note on that, you can change the minimum and maximum score. You can change it to a time-based score if you want. This score is all yours. It will not be added to the player's score in any way. Instead, we're going to be using a trophy system based on your score, which will award those festival experience points I talked about. Okay, so how will you do that? Well, you will create your game. You'll play it a couple times. You'll figure out what you think a good score would be. And whatever you think the best or a challenging score would be for your game, you will make that the platinum threshold. And then from there, you'll work backwards to award what the gold, silver, and bronze thresholds would be. Okay, if that sounds a little confusing, we're going to actually walk through this whole process in just a minute. The last thing you need to know here is that when your game ends, you should trigger this end game trigger. So if you decide to make your game on a timer, when the timer is finished, it will trigger the switch. If you decide to do a game with a certain amount of balls that the player has to throw, when the balls run out, you'll trigger the switch. So this is very important. It will, once triggered, it will award the player their trophy, and it will also give them the option to exit your game and go back to DreamsFest. Okay, one more note. You also have the option to edit the controls menu, which is found actually right here in the controls UI. So you can change these controls to match your game. All right, let's create a quick game. We have a little bit of time left. First thing I'm going to do is go into my kit. I'm going to make a game with these Carnival knockdowns. What's really nice about these pieces is that they're already given the correct variable modifier with the score variable. So you don't have to do anything to use them. They will automatically work with our score counter over here. So let's just center these. Okay, I'm going to grab a gun from my kit. Okay, it's a little big, so we're going to make it smaller. Okay, just going to go in and test that out. Now, as you'll see, when you first use your gun, it has just a continuous stream of balls at a very low setting there. So we're going to go in and alter its logic. Okay, it's right now set to continuous fire. I'll turn that off. For my game, I want the speed to be a little greater. Somewhere right around 20 is good. And in this game, I'm going to make a limited ball count. So there's 6 targets. I'm going to make only 6 balls, and the player has to hit all 6 targets and 6 balls if they want to get that platinum trophy. The way this gun works is that when these 6 balls run out, this game end logic will trigger. So I'm going to pull the node actually off of the red logic chip here. And I'm going to go back out that end game trigger switch I was showing you. And there we go. Everything is now set up. One more thing. I'm going to set my trophy thresholds. So for this game, 6 knockdowns is a platinum. 5 is gold. 4 is silver. Oops. We want 3 to be bronze, and anything less than 3, the player will get no trophy, but they will still get a little bit of festival experience points. So let's try this out. Let's see how our game is. Okay. All right, so we've set everything up. Let's test out our game. So here we go. Boom, I got one. You'll notice, even without me adding any variable modifiers, my score is already updated because that logic is built into these knockdowns already. So let's see how far I can go here. Got 3. Okay, remember I have limited balls, so this should be the last one. Oh, and there we go. I got a silver trophy. I was awarded 250 festival experience points, and now the player has the option to exit back to DreamsFest. All right, guys, so that's all there is to it. We hope that you guys have fun with this. If you have any questions at all, please do feel free to reach out to me, Beard of Cats 88, or any member of the DreamsFest team. We would love to help you guys to make this a really special experience. All right, guys, until next time, I'll see ya. Have a good one, and thank you for submitting to DreamsFest 22.